it's quite the crew we have here in this room. Good afternoon, sisters and brothers and dear friends. Good afternoon, UAW. It is my pleasure to bring greetings and solidarity from Canada, from Unifor, and from your 315,000 trade union comrades in the North. I also bring greetings on behalf of Len Poirier, our National Secretary-Treasurer, who's here with me this week, and our entire elected leadership team. I know I speak for the Unifor crew who have traveled with me when I say that I am truly honored to be in this room and in this hall with you today. Before I get into my remarks, though, I want to acknowledge your newly elected National President, Lana Payne, and I want to congratulate him and the entire UAW leadership team, not only for their election, but for committing to serve the diverse membership of this great union. I also want to give a special shout out to Sister Margaret, your newly elected Secretary-Treasurer, the first African-American woman to hold this post in your union. Congratulations, sister. No easy feat. Representing members as elected officers is a great privilege and an even greater responsibility. I've already expressed to Sean my belief that we are experiencing a special moment across the working class in North America, and that if we organize enough to seize it, we can profoundly change the future for working people in both our countries. In his response to me, Sean said he's looking forward to being in this fight together, and I couldn't agree more. And I'd be remiss if I didn't also extend my sincerest gratitude to Brother Ray Curry, someone who I have come to know and I have great respect for. Thank you, Ray, for all you've done for working people over many, many years. Now, in case you're wondering, yes, we do read American news in Canada, and there's quite a lot of it. In fact, we just heard the great news, as you did today, that the state of Michigan has become the first in many decades to strike down right-to-work laws in your country, as they should. Congratulations to every single one of you on a hard-fought battle and victory. And yes, like so many in the international labor movement, we've been following the news of your union and what's been happening over the past few years. I'm not sure how much Canadian news finds its way south of the border, but so you know, we've had some stuff happening on our side too. That's partly why I'm here today, in fact, standing before you as the first woman in Canadian history to lead an industrial union. Truly the most profound honor of my life. You know, we're all pretty lucky that we operate in democratic spaces such as these ones. There are very few of them left in the world that we live in right now. And as we all know together, democracy can be hard and sometimes messy. All of us, though, organize because we all believe in a better union. Everything we do in these halls, whether they be convention halls or local union halls, matter to our members. It matters a great deal. In many ways, these are halls of legacy, halls of struggle, halls built by the calloused and bloodied and warm and caring hands of working people, built by those who came before us, and yes, with heart and pride, and a lot of courage too. Our two unions share a deep and interlinked history, as some of you already know, a history of triumph and tension. It's a unique relationship among unions, unlike any other that I know of. I'm reminded of this shared history every time I visit our Unifor Family Education Center, formerly the UAW Canada Family Education Center in beautiful Port Elgin, Ontario, on the shores of Lake Huron. A centerpiece of this space is a beautiful wood-burning fireplace with a circle of benches surrounding it. And as Unifor members sit and keep warm, because you know it can get pretty cold in Canada, and taking a break sometimes from a conference or a strategy session or a workshop or some inspiring union training, their eyes are drawn to a large black and white photo of Walter Reuther, hands in his pockets, standing outside the Ford River Rouge plant in Dearborn. It was 1937. Reuther and other union reps are staring down a gang of employer thugs. Within minutes of that photo being taken, those thugs proceeded to kick and punch and beat and bloody our union brothers before turning to attack the union sisters who were leafleting the plant. As if violence and intimidation could ever stop a worker's resolve for fairness and respect. We are all here, every single one of us, because of the courage of those who came before us. The rest, of course, is history. Ford was unionized. Auto workers were empowered. Workers all throughout North America turned their attention to this union for its leadership, for its fearlessness, and for its strength. My friends, let me tell you something. Workers still do. Workers all across the United States, on both sides of the border. Workers look to the UAW and to Unifor. I can't tell you how many of our members, young and old, come to that education center for the first time, stare at that photo, and share strength from that moment. There are important lessons that we can take from this picture, from that historic time. The union is made of the strongest stuff. No matter how beaten or bloodied, whether from the sticks and clubs in the hands of company goons, or from full-out political attacks on our trade union freedoms, or whether it is the hate, the sexism, the racism designed to divide workers, we endure. We endure for the members and for working people everywhere. We endure because if we don't, who will change this world? Who will bring workers the dignity that each of them deserve? Who will fight for our fair share of the economic pie if it is not us? My friends, this is our challenge as trade unionists. This is our burden, and it is a heavy one, but it's also a privilege, because there is great joy in the struggle. Every day, even in our darkest moments. Let me assure you that today and every day, there truly is no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. As you all know, 2023 is shaping up to be a pretty defining year for the labor movement in North America. We find ourselves in a moment that is different than past decades. Central bankers are waging a class war against working people. The cost of everything has skyrocketed. Inflation has hit 40-year highs. Workers are struggling to keep up. You know all of this. But one thing is for certain: workers' wages are not the problem. No matter how many times right-wing economists or federal bank officials say it, it still doesn't make it true. What is true, though, is that corporate profits have never been higher. And yet bankers think the answer to inflation is unemployment, to throw workers to the wolves. We don't accept this. Not today, not ever. We will not accept that workers must lose to fight inflation. And make no mistake, we will continue to fight, all of us together, hard against any anti-worker attack, no matter where they come from. Let me also be clear. Workers have every right to demand more and better from their employers. Every right. And they are. We see it every day in Unifor, at every bargaining table, in all sectors where we represent working people. And while the cost of living is a key priority, there are many other challenges facing workers. You've been discussing them here all day. It was workers who got us through the world during the biggest health crisis in our lifetime. Healthcare workers, transit workers, manufacturing and auto workers, education workers, warehouse workers, and yes, grocery store workers. Workers everywhere kept the economic wheels turning, often at risk to their own health and safety. And most weren't even given a pat on the back or a word of thanks. And in the face of that disrespect, workers are now fighting back in glorious fashion all over North America, all over the world. What's also obvious is that most governments in capitalist economies can't seem to think and plan beyond the next fiscal quarter. A failure to plan forces governments and employers to draw upon and draw up quick fixes that never seem to work, that leave workers, especially women and other marginalized groups, behind. It's why workers need unions, so they have a place to build collective power and fight these forces. Just last week, I was lucky enough to attend an official dinner welcoming your president, Joe Biden, to Canada. Well, me and a few other Canadians, about 100, 200, 500 of us. I wasn't there alone. President Biden, though, not only brought a message of shared opportunity and unity, he brought a message of solidarity to Canada. I don't think the word union was mentioned so many times in such a positive light in the history of our House of Commons. And watching, I have to say, right-wing opposition conservatives squirm in their seats for 30 minutes was pretty great. I will say, though, that from our vantage point, what the U.S. is currently doing, and the Biden administration specifically, on economic and industrial policy is quite impressive. I've not seen this level of ambition to onshore critical manufactured goods, invest in domestic value chains, and promote clean tech from any government in my lifetime. It's impressive. And if this is the economic race that the U.S. has started, it's a damn good one. And it's one that Canada and the U.S., like most things, will win as running mates. A race that will be won by securing good jobs with collective agreements for all. A race that will be defined by its worker-centric policies. Our members were incredibly relieved to see that the Inflation Reduction Act set a special carve-in for Canada on EV consumer rebates. We were equally disappointed that a UAW proposal to require union labor as part of those rebates was scrapped. But if all goes to plan, and we continue to see major investments by both the American and Canadian governments, the auto industry of the future, batteries and all, will be built on these North American shores with unionized labor. And friends, I want to remind you that much of that is our collective doing. When others said there was no future in factories, we all pushed back. We occupied workplaces, we set up picket lines, we ran campaigns. When General Motors informed us at Unifor in 2018 that they would close the Oshawa assembly plant, the response from our union was fierce. And it did feel like the entire Canadian population rallied behind our members. Canadians recognized, as Americans do, the critical importance of building things and building where you sell. Today, my friends, that plant is back up and running, building trucks around the clock. It has rejuvenated an entire community and region. And what's most inspiring is half of the workers in that plant are union sisters. Half of the plant. We told the world we'd win that fight, and we did. Even when politicians warned us that the ship had sailed, we didn't flinch from our purpose. As my friend and former Canadian Auto Workers President Buzz Hargrove says and reminds me every time we speak, fighting back, Lana, always makes a difference. Indeed, friends, when we fight, when we organize, we win every single time. And we have a fight on our hands right now. The challenge is immense. As countries around the world chart their path to net zero, we better be prepared. We need to plan. We need to plan responsibly so that industries don't collapse. We need to plan so not a single worker is left behind. Not one worker. Industrial strategy takes money. It takes vision, one that is put forward by workers in that industry, and it requires government to play a leading role. It also has to start somewhere, and it has started in the auto industry. The shift to EVs is historic, as monumental a change as there's ever been in the history of car making. And there's a lot to be excited about. EV investments over the past 2.5 years have given many Unifor assembly plants in Canada new life, new hope. These investments are spurring others along the supply chain. Politicians are lining up to tour our factories. EVs, it appears, are the secret sauce. But it's not all good news. We all know this in this room. And everyone needs to understand that outside of this room. Workers in the supply base will be affected. We've already seen it in Canada, and we are going to see more of it. So I can't stress this enough. How the auto sector transition is managed will be the litmus test for transitions in other places. The entire world is watching right now. So we have to get this right. We have to get the policy right. We have to get the bargaining right so we're protecting workers. Or this doesn't work. In 2022, our union released a new auto strategy called Navigating the Road Ahead. It's a vision about how we manage this transition in a way that makes sense for working people, how we ensure job opportunities for auto workers, how we tailor social and income supports, how we expand our collective bargaining rights and grow good union jobs all along the way. This is the level of ambition governments need to have. These are the assurances that auto workers need. These are the assurances that all workers need. Because, my friends, workers are not going backwards. This transition will not have workers going backwards, because together we are going to fight like hell to make sure that they don't. And that leads me to this year, a very important, very historic bargaining year. The first time since 1999 that our two great unions will get to bargain at the same time. Not counting, of course, 2009 financial crisis. This timing creates a unique opportunity for auto workers on both sides of the border, and I look forward to discussions with your new elected leadership team as we move into this important bargaining time. At Unifor, we've got a lot of issues to discuss and a lot of ground to cover. We'll be talking wages and the cost of living. We'll be talking about pensions, whether the companies want to or not. We'll be talking about job quality and income security and health and safety, including mental health, and seeking clarity on future product plans. And we'll be talking about investments wherever we can. I know these are also top-of-mind issues for UAW members, too. They are top-of-mind issues for workers everywhere. And that's why conventions like this are so very important. It's important that unions like the UAW, like Unifor, create these spaces to engage all the union. The UAW is a vibrant and diverse union with members working in many sectors of the economy. Unifor, too, has grown to represent workers in more than 20 distinct sectors, from energy to education. Shout out to the education workers in the room. I know there's a lot of you. Retails to railways, healthcare to hospitality, transit to trucking, media to mining. Just last week, Unifor launched our own process to revise our national collective bargaining program. We are encouraging members to participate directly in that process, to share their stories, to present their best ideas, so that we can develop a program that is responsive and reflective of their needs and their demands. We're going to host a summit, just like you're doing, to discuss, debate, and endorse that program, a program that will carry us forward through the coming years. My friends, we have a moment here to develop our unions and our bargaining strategies in a way that is both big and bold. Our unions are more than our presidents. Let's be clear. Our unions are about all of you, making your workplaces better and stronger. All of you building your local unions in communities across the United States. Bargaining contracts is more than just give and take. We know this. It's transformative. It's social. It's about using our union power to raise expectations about what is a good life here and everywhere. It's about inspiring others to step up, to demand fairness too, to take our share of the wealth we create. Our unions are about building worker power. They have always been about building worker power. And so, from the bottom of my heart, I wish you a wonderful convention. And know this, in the months and years and decades to come, we are going to do great things together. Of that, I have no doubt. we will do great things. We will do good for our members. We will continue to change this world. And when future generations reflect back on this time, let the record show that our two great unions stood together, shoulder to shoulder, in solidarity. Thank you very much, sisters and brothers. Have a great convention.